Loading, loading,
Loading, loading,
loading,
loading,
loading.
loading. And we're
And
live.
there it is.
We're finally connected to the internet.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another super duper exciting episode of SVT. Of course, we got one member down. He's stuck at work. Hopefully he wins that big TV prize. So good luck
Yeah.
to Tyler.
Come on, buddy.
Work.
Let's go.
You're
Let's
not
go. Join the 65 club, bud. You're almost there.
I know, right? You got to step up.
You're not
That's right.
seeing
When
me,
my
but
TV goes out,
I'm
when
doing.
my
I'm
TV
doing
goes
the.
up, I'm going to be upgraded to a 75-inch. So you guys are going to have to keep it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I just got the 65 like less than 2 years ago. So I can't quite pull a trigger on a new one just yet, like to go even bigger, but it's on the to-do list.
Well, this one has been repaired a couple of times already. I think it's 3 times in 4 years of owning it.
Mhm.
So if I get one more year, I get 5 years. But man, I got to keep having the Super Bowl parties at my house. You guys are closing the gap, so I gotta
Right.
up my game so all the parties stay over here.
Right,
It
yeah.
makes my commute, my Super Bowl commute life is perfect. So
Yeah. Oh, my
Vince,
dad's
how are
already.
you, buddy?
I'm good. My dad's in the chat already. He said his 65 just went down. Oh, damn it, Dad. All right, we'll discuss that off the air.
Hey, yeah, shout out to Papa G out there, man. I heard what was going on, and I'm just so thankful that you're here with us.
Yeah, that's
Not
right.
just on the podcast, but here.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
love to you, Papa G. Thank
Yeah,
you.
he's doing a lot better now. And that's,
Thank God. Thank you,
that's,
sir.
that's what we like to hear,
Absolutely. Let's
yeah.
get that man a new TV. We're gonna
maybe
start
he can
a
have my
GoFundMe.
yeah, he can have my 65, and then that's how I upgrade.
There you go.
Then I'm
there
in front.
Go.
Ah.
Vince, this week, a lot going on in sports. Maybe not the best for sports. I mean, baseball is taking some black eyes left and right. We've been documenting, obviously, the A's stuff. There was some stuff going on with the Orioles a couple months ago and that ownership. So got some good news out of that. They were sold. But there's been a lot of black eyes for baseball. And last week, there's news coming out that Shohei Ohtani's translator was involved in some illegal gambling and potentially Shohei Ohtani. There's this, we don't really know, right? At this point, like Shohei's backpedaling. He's walking away. He's saying the dude stole from him $4.5 million.
A lot. Yeah.
And we're going to break it down a little bit as we go forward, but it's a black eye for baseball. I think there's more to it than what we're being told.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to know anything with any certainty right now. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani is denying any involvement. He said that he was stolen from, and that part of his like weird reactions and stuff was sort of a lost in translation thing, which face value, I don't know, like there's no way to dispute that at the moment. Like we would need some hard evidence to dispute Shohei's account. And right now, a lot of people, especially like Giants fans and like just people in general in baseball, they're not happy, and they're there's a lot of people that are comparing it to like the Pete Rose situation. What was that message that the Astros owner says it's like the third worst scandal in MLB history, behind like the Black Sox scandal and the what did he say, like the private Yankee letters that have not yet been released or something like that?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't see the quote, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, so that guy's a fucking clown. So let's just get my F-bomb out of the way right now.
Well, he's just trying to say, oh, that's much worse than what we did.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't, ours was not that bad at all. Yeah. So he's a clown. And he should not be one to talk about breaking rules, especially.
Absolutely. I mean, so his translator was at Ipe. Is being accused of stealing $4.5 million through wire transfers. So there is no dispute that this money came from Shohei Ohtani's account. When you're so apparently there's been multiple transactions. From what I understand, I I have done wire transfers in my life. It's been years ago, but I do remember having to like verify a lot of information, being on the phone, verifying my identity, and the person it was going to also had to be on the phone and verify there was information that they had to verify. So it seems like a very, and I'm assuming when you're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars, that it's even more tedious. So how did this all happen? You know,
Right.
if $4.5 million leaves Shohei's account, well, who has access to it? Okay, your
Right.
translator. What about your accountant
Well,
or your
his
agent
translator
or
was
your
also his
lawyer?
friend too, apparently, and
More than friends.
more than
They're considered
like,
like brothers,
yeah,
brothers from other mothers.
yeah. So I mean, there it could have been one thing where I'm looking at this with the on the angle that Otani is innocent right now. If Otani's innocent, it could have been something as simple as like um he lent Ipe money for something else
I
entirely,
think that's what
and
happened
then
because that's the
yeah,
original story.
yeah, I think it's something like that. That the money was for
I
something
think
else
that's what happened.
entirely, and then Ipe just kind of kept getting the money afterward or something, like, and stealing money after the fact.
Yeah, I
Because
think
once he had access once, then he maintained the access.
uh, I I forget how I heard all of this. I think I've heard it from multiple media outlets that Shohei's people told Ipe to do an interview with ESPN. So there's an hour-long interview out there. I don't believe it's been released. And that's kind of like ESPN then contacted the Dodgers and there's a mess. But that person, that the translator did that interview based on Shohei's people saying you need to clear this up. And apparently in that interview, Ipe is saying that it, Shohei loaned me the money to pay off my debts. The night before, they're in Korea playing a baseball game, and apparently the talk in the locker room had already happened. So the translator addressed the locker room and said, "There's going to be some nasty stories. I'm sorry." And that's when Shohei was made aware. But they played a baseball game, and they were like bros. They were still like chummy, chopping it up in the dugout. I kind of subscribe to what you're saying, Vince, which is I think Shohei cares about Ipe and he cares about his buddy, who he's known since I believe junior high or high school. This guy was in Japan teaching English. He's from the United States, I believe. Um, I think he lent him the money thinking it was maybe for something else, and then it turned out to be for gambling. And then Shohei, his people caught wind of it. The Dodgers caught wind of it, and they're like, "No, man, you can't just give somebody money to cover a gambling debt. That's illegal. Like you can't just gift somebody $4.5 million. That the federal government is going to tax the crap out of it. Uncle Sam wants their share. There needs to be a paper trail. Why are you doing this?" And now it's with the federal investigators. I do not believe Shohei is going to do any time, get suspended.
Yeah,
Like the Dodgers, baseball, they're going to do everything in their power. If Shohei did anything wrong, it's getting swept under the rug. Like
right.
they're going to do
And
everything they can to
y-
get Shohei distanced away
mhm.
from this. And I
And
believe, to wrap up, Vince, I
mhm.
believe Ipe is going to take all the blame
Yep.
because he wouldn't want to do anything to derail his friend's career.
Yeah.
So he's going to take the fall, whether he borrowed the money, was malicious, stole the money, whatever. He's going to agree to everything that Shohei's people says to take the fall, to clear
Right.
Shohei Otani's name.
Yeah. If it was fraud in the sense that he stole the money, or fraud in the sense that he asked for the money for different reasons and than what it was actually for. I mean, that I think that's the current story, and that's probably what's going to be official when the official story when the dust settles and everything. what the truth is probably maybe a little bit more sketch than that. But I mean, I'm not ready or willing to go too deep into conspiracy mountain for this yet. I kind of want to
Right.
see where more of the dust settles. This is a brand new story. It's only been breaking like really over the last like 72 hours or so. Maybe like last Thursday, so we're talking maybe 4 days. I just,
Yeah.
it there's too much in the air that we just don't know, and I do not want to really risk saying something really harsh if it ends up not being the case. There's certain things we talk about, like with the A's stuff, where we know certain things, and I have no issue at all going hard into the paint. But right now, this Otani stuff, it's scary, and this is real fucking life. Like this is
Yeah.
like serious allegations here, and I don't
Because
want to.
federal,
Yeah.
if he did do something illegal, and even if it was a nice gesture and
Mhm.
he's found guilty of doing something illegal, I mean,
Yeah, that 700
that's a
million
problem.
contract is like,
That's a
wow.
problem.
Yeah.
It's a problem for baseball. It's a problem for him.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, I don't think he's going to do any jail time. I don't think he's
Right.
going to get fined. I don't think he's getting suspended.
Mhm.
Again, I don't think the federal government wants to get Shohei in trouble.
Yeah.
Obviously, Japan doesn't want him in trouble.
Right. Yeah.
Baseball doesn't want.
The focus is on Ipe. It's not really on
Yeah,
Otani. Otani happened as of right now. Otani is the victim, and they're going to treat him as
right,
such until
right.
unless there's evidence that goes to the contrary. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and if evidence does go to the contrary, then we're talking Pete Rose style ban. You know, if it's bad
Yeah.
enough.
I mean,
You know,
if he's found guilty, I mean, you kind of have to, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you
That's the
set a
precedent.
precedent. Yeah, that's the precedent, and yeah, my dad in the chat, if this is somebody like Brent Rooker, he's looking at a lifetime suspension, but because it's Otani, he's the golden boy, he's untouchable. Yeah, that's
He's looking at instead of a $700 million contract, they're gonna just give him $1 billion.
yeah,
He's gonna
yeah.
get rewarded. He's gonna be given the benefit of the doubt.
Hmm.
He's gonna be, every ESPN, the media is gonna do everything they can. Everybody's gonna do everything they can to protect Shohei Ohtani.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And
I think it's
all
time
right, we
we.
beat the hell out of that whole
Yeah.
horse. So the
Yeah.
Giants,
Yeah.
they signed
Breaking.
Blake Snell.
Yeah. 2 years, 62 million. He's got that opt out, and that happened basically right as we logged off last week. So we didn't really get to talk about it. Um, the Giants added two Cy Young winners, recent Cy Young winners, like in this offseason. So that pitching staff all of a sudden looks a lot better than it did, last month. You know, like they could be competing for the third place in the division, man. They could be right
Yeah,
there.
I just think offensively they're not going to be there offensively. Me
Right,
personally,
right.
I think they'll be better. But you never know. I mean, they're led by Bob Melvin, who's a player's coach. I know he had some issues in San Diego with a loaded roster, but we saw Bo Mel firsthand
Mm,
here in Oakland, and he had that team very successful. Remember, he took over for Bob Guerin,
that's right.
and Bob
Best
Melvin
man,
comes
Bob.
in, and Bob Melvin comes in. I mean, virtually with the same roster. The second half of the year, they were a solid team, and then the following year, I want to say they were a playoff team or close to it.
No,
Uh,
that following year was 2012. That was the game 162 season.
right. So
Hmm.
so they were all of a sudden they were a great team. So we've seen Bob Melvin put teams together before, but I still can't take the Giants seriously with that lineup.
Fair. Yeah, so I mean, we're going to talk more about baseball in general in just a second, but we do need to briefly go over what's going on opening day at the Coliseum. So the fans are going to be having the boycott. It's going to be in the parking lot in B lot, and that's like when you come off of the like if you're coming via BART, you go across the BART bridge, you go left.
Take Bart.
Yeah,
Take Bart.
take BART.
The A's are, of course, they don't want to open the gates. So they're only going to open the gates 2 hours before first pitch.
Yep.
Usually it's like 3+ hours
Yeah, for the
on
parking lot,
opening
you're
day.
talking 3 or 4 hours ahead of time,
So
but not
they're
not
doing
this
this
time.
because of the boycott. Take Bart. There is a second event, so parking is going to be tight anyway. I do plan on going, but I'm gonna probably just hang out in the parking lot. I'm definitely not going inside the stadium. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be inside the stadium unless there's some type of reverse boycott event. But I don't think I'll ever attend an Oakland A's game with if they're fully intending to go to Las Vegas, or this ownership is you know still in place. I'm not giving them a fucking dime of my money.
Right. Absolutely.
I haven't purchased anything from the Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic in God almost 10 years. It's seriously been like 8 years. I refuse to buy anything from those brands. So I think
Athleta, whatever it's called too. That's
nope.
the athletic
Never, I mean,
brand
I've
as well. I've never
never
bought that
shopped there
anyway.
before.
No, no, but
So
yeah, that's just for those of you that are
um
listening. If you're into like, you know, if your significant other, if she's like into like yoga pants and stuff, Athleta, whatever it's called, that's the same company. So don't buy from them
save your
either.
pennies, just go to Lululemon. Just go.
Yeah, seriously.
Just um yeah, so real quick, there's been some funny stuff going on A's Twitter as well. It appears that Dave Cavill's burner account may have been
Oh
found.
yeah,
Um
I almost forgot about
and
this.
this is like hilarious. So there's an account going around named John Fredericks. And
Yeah.
apparently Frederick is his wife's maiden's name. Like it's a
Mhm.
family name on her side. And then all of the comments from this account sounds like Dave Cavill bullshit. Like word for word. I mean, it just like the facts that are coming out, how things are said, the people he follows. It's all like it's just really not a clever burner account. I mean, sneak in a couple follows and some other things that are unrelated,
Right.
but
Seriously.
like you're following the what's his name, Mick, the
Mick Akers.
shitty
Yeah. Yeah.
Mick Akers, and then he followed the wrong Mick. Yeah, to unfollow and follow the correct one. People
Uh,
who were calling him out started blocking him and then unblocked him
mhm.
because it's clearly most likely Dave Cavill's burner account, which
Yeah.
is
It's
just
definitely somebody inside the
it's
organization and
sad, dude.
high up in the
It's
organization.
sad. It's
But yeah.
pathetic. The A's still have their comments turned off.
Mhm.
They're over here bragging that they're going to Las Vegas and blah 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 blah. Fine. Then don't renew the lease here. Then own it. Own it. Own up to it. You got the comments off. You got A's PR off. You're leaving your manager out there to field all the questions, do all the dirty work, where you have Dave Cavill, the president, and you have what's her name? Catherine, what's it? The
Yeah.
public
Yeah. Yeah.
relations woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
She doesn't do anything. I mean, it's just pathetic. It's just absolutely pathetic of an organization, and it's another black eye of baseball. And as the season progresses, starts and progresses, like it's crazy how all of a sudden the Baltimore Orioles fans are supporting the A's. They are having a weekend. There's Oriole fans organizing. They purchased a section for a sell the team Oakland A's Orioles United section. Um, so I mean,
Not mad about that.
it's as the A's come into town, the messaging is getting out. And if you're an Oakland fan, Oakland A's fan, no one is saying that the city of Oakland is perfect. Nobody is claiming that. But people are acting like the city of Oakland they didn't put money on the table. There is money on the table. There is land on the table. The city of Oakland has done the environmental impact report. They secured funding. We've talked about this many times before. There's transportation and railroad stuff because it's at Jack London. There's a huge train yard that cuts through there. They just selected a contractor to take care of all the train operations and the guardrails. That's happening regardless, uh, because those are all federal and state grants. That's all secured. So some of this construction is actually underway, whether the A's are a part of it or not. So it would be great that the A's are at Howard Terminal. I think it would be, I mean, life changing for the city. It would be amazing to have that as an anchor. But life goes on, you know, and I still stand by if the A's are going to Las Vegas, don't extend the lease, kick them out, get rid of them.
Mhm.
This
Let's rip this
situation,
bandit off.
it's not the same situation as the Warriors, and it's definitely not the same situation as the Raiders. It's not an apples to apples comparison. We've spent many episodes getting into the differences, so now's not the time, but trying to, you know, move on, move past it. If they ain't gonna stay here in Oakland, don't extend the lease. You
And
know, why help them?
the city is asking for a ton of things from the A's if they're going to extend the lease, and I am glad that they are. Like, they're asking for an expansion team. They're asking for increased rent, obviously. What else? The team name and colors, and we've talked about all this other stuff too. So I mean, we don't have to go deep into the woods with it, but if you are going to extend
I
the
believe
lease,
there is
it
another
has to
meeting.
be
I
yeah.
believe there's another meeting on the 2nd or the 3rd of next month. So
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
next week or two, there's going to be another meeting between the A's and the city
yeah.
and the JPA. So
Hmm.
there's still stuff coming out. You never
Yeah,
know. As what's his name, David Sampson or what,
yeah.
from the
The Mar
former
the
Marlins
former
guy.
Marlins guy. Yeah,
Uh, he still believes that he is still believing that Oakland is gonna win out. And he talks about how the Miami Marlins, before they got their stadium, how bitter and nasty and evil it was. But that's what happens with these mega infrastructure projects and sports teams. So I don't know. I'm I the only reason why I'm like, I'll say 50-50 still is because the Nevada fan, there's no financing plan. There's there's just no real plan to get there and to fund it. And I think
yeah,
people are kind of waking up to it. And then if you are going to put a team there in Las Vegas in a new stadium, you have to get good really fast.
yeah.
And this team does not look like it's getting good.
Yeah.
Like, there's some
They
young players that
mhm.
look like can be legit players, but outside of this year and next, like, do you really think that team is going to be put together in 2 years? If you're a free agent, are you going to sign here? You're going to be in Oakland for 2, 3, 4 years as they build this thing? Or are you going to sign here and be at a Sacramento or Utah or a Las Vegas
But
AAA
yeah.
stadium? I mean, come on. I mean, and we didn't even talk about the players union is like in anarchy right now. They are like, it's like it's going insane right now. So is the players union going to want to have their players in these stadium deals, you know? So it's a
Yeah.
mess. It's an
Yeah,
absolute
totally.
mess. But let's move
Yeah.
on, Vince.
It is the
Let's get
shittest of
to
shows. Yeah,
yeah,
so
let's move on.
well, since we talked about such chipper topics, let's uh we're actually going to just throw our predictions out for the MLB season to come that's about to start this Thursday. Um, I'm not going to share the screen just yet because I do have my picks and Tyler's picks already, and it's just staring at a spreadsheet for those of you that are watching on YouTube. But we're going to go through it all real quick. We're going to pick every division winner. We're going to pick our 3 wild card teams for both the American and National League, and then we're just going to pick our World Series participants and champion. We're not going to say, who's the 1 seed taking on the 4 seed or anything like that. We don't need to go into that. I don't think that that's quite as important. Um, as just nailing the teams right, you know? Um, so with that being said, let's start it with the National League, and I think we'll do National League first and then American League. Sam, you good with that?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So in the East, Tyler has selected the Atlanta Braves to win the division. Vince has selected the Atlanta Braves to win the division. I think that's the safe bet. What do you think, Sam?
I got the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I figured you would. Okay, so the National League Central. The Central is kind of a dog shit division. Tyler went with the Brewers to be transparent. Uh the according to Sportsline, they have the Brewers win total at 76.5 as of yesterday. So I went with the Cubs, who are at 83.5 for to win the division. The division favorite is actually the Cardinals at 84.5 according to Sportsline, and they finished dead last, and I was not impressed with them last year at all. So what do you think, Sam?
I got the Cardinals, man.
Yeah,
I was so high on the Cardinals last year. I think all of us picked the Cardinals to win the division
yeah,
last
we
year.
did. We did, yeah.
They were historically awful. Like
Mhm.
there was like things happening to this Cardinals team that just like made no sense.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That was an extremely bad, like worst
right.
case scenario. Chicken Little, sky is falling. Yeah.
I believe they're going to get back to normalcy.
Mhm.
They're a functioning franchise for St. Louis. They you know, this team has to be competitive because they know that they cannot be a last place team multiple years in a row. So I think just somehow, some way they're going to be just good enough to win the worst division in the NL. So St. Louis Cardinals.
Fair enough. So on to the West. Both Tyler and I have the Dodgers. I don't think that that's a real shocker. Um, the Dodgers always win this
Dodgers.
division. Yeah. That's that's easy money right there. Same with the Braves. Like if the Braves and the Dodgers both don't win the division, something terribly catastrophic happened to either of those teams. You know. So yeah, so that's those are our division winners. For the wild card, Tyler went with the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres to have a bounce back year. I went with the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and I actually think the pitching does make a difference in San Francisco. I had the Giants in as the last wild card team. I
Wow.
said that they would finish third in the division. The Diamondbacks finish ahead of them, and then the Dodgers obviously in first. But the Giants sneak in, I think, is my prediction with like
I
86
got
wins or
the
something like that. So who do you got?
I got the Phillies, D-backs,
Uh-huh.
and the Chicago Cubbies.
All right. We're both on the Cubs. We're both a little high on the Cubs. I got them winning the division. You got them with the wild card. That's great. Yeah, I think I think the Cubs finally put it together again after selling it all off a few years ago. I think they're
They got
coming
a lot of
back on the
young
upswing.
talent. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what baseball does is
it's
you
the
get
name of the
to an
game.
age.
All right, so let's go over to the American League, switching gears. Tyler and I both have the Orioles. Speaking of young teams with, on the rise, I think that, they are primed to go back to back, win the division again.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of the rookies they have coming up this year
Mhm.
may be better than the ones that
Got the
got
division for
them
him last
there
year. Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Um,
The time is
uh,
nigh.
Matt Holliday's kid
Mhm.
is a baller. That dude is
Yeah.
going to hit, and he didn't even make the club.
Mhm.
So when he gets called up, all eyes are going to be over there. The Orioles have to have. I mean, they probably have the best young talent in the system, and
Mhm.
they made the big trade and added
Oh,
a few weeks ago they
yeah,
added
yeah, yeah.
the pitcher.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Who was it? Anyway. Yeah. But,
Great sports talk radio
yeah,
right here.
totally excellent. Yeah.
But I'm
Dead
all
time, dead
in.
zone.
I'm all in on the Orioles.
All right, so you got the Orioles winning the East as well.
All in on the Orioles. Yeah.
All right. So the AL Central, if that's another dog shit division. Tyler and I both have the Twins winning it.
Twinkies. Yeah.
Twins, yeah. I mean, they're at least projected to finish above 500. They got 87.5 on the win total.
I mean, I just looked at the division and I'm like, kind of looking at last year, looking at the
Yeah.
talent on the roster, like,
Yeah.
Twins.
I guess the Twins.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wanted to pick the Guardians, but
Mhm.
it just seems like every time I get high on them, like they just like
Yeah.
I don't
They're
know.
they're
I
at
don't know.
their win total is 79.5, the Guardians. So like we're talking about an 8 game difference on the win line between the Twins and the Guardians. I think that's too much to overcome. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
so for the AL West, Tyler went with the Rangers to repeat. I picked the Astros because I'm taking the easy money. Sam, what do you got?
I took the Astros.
Yeah, that's I think it's like I said, it's the easier money, it's the safer bet. Uh so as for the wild card teams, Tyler has the Rays, the Yankees, and the Astros, since he doesn't have them winning the division. I have the Rays, Yankees, and Mariners. I'm doing it again.
Oh
Uh
wow.
yeah. Who do you have as your wild card teams?
I got the Rays, Rangers, and Yankees.
Rays, Rangers, and Yankees. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how that shakes out. So the for the World Series, Tyler has the Dodgers and Rangers playing each other, with the Dodgers finally getting the job done. I have the Dodgers playing the Orioles, with the Orioles getting the job done. I got the Orioles winning the World Series this year. What do you have, my friend?
I got the Atlanta Braves versus the
Okay.
Baltimore Orioles. So I don't even have the Dodgers making it to the World Series. I
I
think they
think
lose in the
I think that's
NLCS.
fair. And you got the Orioles in the for the American League. And who's your
Yep.
champion?
I wrote down the Braves, but I think I'm gonna switch. I think I'm on the O's train, man. I think
All
I'm on
right.
the O's.
Okay,
I
I'm locking it
love
in.
I just love all the young talent they have. I mean, they have
Mm-hmm.
to be one of the most exciting young teams in baseball right now.
Yeah.
Almost every position they got a young guy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So there we are. We are I'm locking it in. Just to recap, for the World Series, Sam, you have the Braves and the Orioles, with the Orioles as the champions. I have the Dodgers and Orioles, with the Orioles winning. Tyler has the Dodgers and the Rangers, with the Dodgers getting the job done. And we're gonna see how this shakes out. It's gonna be a lot of a lot of interesting storylines, and I'm sure we got it all completely correct between the three of us. Nothing wrong. It's all perfect. Absolutely nothing can go wrong. Tune in 3 days when, oh no, it all goes wrong. Uh, okay.
We'll
So
see.
yeah, that takes care of baseball talk. I think let's switch gears to football. There's just a couple of notes here. We have Mike Williams going to the New York Jets after getting cut by the Chargers. He's gonna actually they're putting in they just put in grass today at what is it called, MetLife
MetLife
Stadium.
or whatever or
Yeah,
something.
they put in grass because that's a requirement to host World Cup games, is to have real grass. So they put in the grass now, and they're gonna just keep working on it and make sure that's perfect for soccer in a couple of years, which is great because a little less injuries at that field. That field in particular has had a lot of really
Maybe you would have
catastrophic.
kept your quarterback.
Yeah. And maybe this keeps Mike Williams healthy a little bit longer, Maybe he
Yeah.
only misses 5 games this year instead of 7 or 8, Deontay Foreman is going to Cleveland. Good luck with that, bud. And then Damian Harris, actually, this just came in. He retired, former Patriots running back.
Oh.
Yeah, that literally just came in. I saw it as we were like about to start recording. Okay, so there are your free agent moves that have happened since our last chat. I don't know, I don't think anything else came in since we started recording.
Well, there's like the Brandon Ayuk and the
Yeah, oh yeah.
49ers
Yeah,
are
so
discussing an extension, and then Ayuk is on Twitter.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
money talks, bullshit walks, but all
yeah.
in
So
emojis. So we'll see. He wants to get paid, and I think he absolutely should get paid. And they made a lot of cap room because they knew that they had to pay Brandon Ayuk, and they know they have to pay Brock Purdy soon. So I expect that they get this done. He's not. I do not think he's going to get traded at all. So
I don't think
yeah,
so.
Yeah, they're gonna make it work. It's gonna be fine. Right now, it's just sort of grandstanding in the media, and that's fine. That's kind of the modus operandi for these things
Yep.
now. So, all right, so there are a
NFL
couple
rule
of
changes.
rule changes. So the NFL owners, against the wishes of literally every player on defense, have decided that
And
the hip
fan.
drop and fans have decided that the hip drop tackle is now banned, which is basically how tackles are done. You grab the guy
I
and
mean,
then
what
you
do you
fall.
do if you're a smaller guy and you're trying to tackle, say, one of these big ass tight ends or wide receivers? Like, what do you do?
If you're not in front of him, I don't know. You can't trip him. You can't
I
grab
mean,
him high.
this
You can't
is
grab him in the middle. You can't grab him low.
just make it flag football.
Exactly.
Just
That's
make it flag
exactly where I was
football.
going.
I mean, this is
Mhm.
terrible.
Yeah, this is the dumbest of dumb rule changes, and they're going to be left up to the refs for discretion, which means the refs are going to have even more of an impact on these games going forward. And
More
it's just going to
flags,
be more
more
flags, more
referee stuff.
chaos,
Like,
and
oh my
I'm
god,
tired of
terrible.
seeing Sean Hockley, man. I'm tired of it.
It's like, back in the day, the Raiders Patriots, the Woodson Tom Brady fumble,
Mm-hmm.
right? Local radio host Damon Bruce used to say, 10 guys in a bar say it's a fumble, right? Like 10 guys in a bar say it's a catch, it's a catch. Like we can't even agree on what a tackle is anymore. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's nonsense. You're ruining the game. You're over legislating the game. We want to see, of course, we want to see amazing offenses and quarterbacks and wide receivers and fantasy football and blah, blah, blah. That's great. But not at the sacrifice of like defense and a quality game. You're basically legislating out of the game teams like the Baltimore Ravens that won that Super Bowl because of their defense, because the Chicago Bears who won that Super Bowl because of their defense.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh had an amazing defense. Like you're legislating those types of teams out of the game. And it's just it's making it less entertaining. I don't want to watch referees. I don't want to watch referees interpret the rule. I don't want to watch referees under the hood looking at the teleprompter and then whatever broadcast jumping to the former referee they have as their spokesman discussing, oh, that's the new rule.
Yeah.
It's not
Enough Gene
entertaining.
Steratore. I'm
It's not
done.
entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't want this.
Yeah. This is a rule change that they really got wrong, and they're doing it out of selfish reasons because they want to like protect their investment or whatever. But like you said, they're legislating out any contact out of contact football, and yeah, it's time to start training for grip strength to pull flags at this point. Like
Right.
send our boys rock climbing. Time to
Yeah.
go hit up the rock climbing gym because flags are coming, man. That's the only way this goes forward. I think either they get rid of this rule that they just instituted, or in 5 or 10 years we're talking flag, so you can get rid of
Absolutely.
pads. All right.
All
So
right.
the other
Well,
rule change, actually,
yeah,
this
yeah, go
one,
ahead.
this one I'm on board with. The third challenge rule was, in the past you had to get both of your challenges correct in order to get a third one. Now you just have to get one of them right. Okay, and I think that's fair. And it'll lead to more challenges happening, but I think it'll also lead to more correct calls in the end, which is what we want at the end. Like at the end of the day, we want the right call happening, and we want it to be done quickly, obviously, and we want good, clean fun, I guess. But
I
they don't
mean,
want the
I
hitting.
might I
It's
might be in the minority here, but I just think they should get rid of all of it. Like get rid of all challenges because they have to, more than half the time they don't even get it right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't tell me that the challenges are getting the calls right. Again, it's become the
Yeah.
referee show. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
I don't care.
mhm.
Like I might as well just, if it's a bad call, I might as well just be I'd rather just be sour about it and say that the referees got it wrong and just move on and just say that, well, there's no replay. Because even when we have replay, they don't get it right.
Yeah.
They don't get it right. So that rule, maybe some like it. You like it, Vince, but I'm just
Yeah.
like, get rid of it.
I'm fine.
Let's get back
Like,
to football.
all right. Yeah. And I mean, that's basically it for our football notes. We didn't have a lot. Tyler is in the chat, even though he's not on the recording right now. He says, "Good luck with the Astros. You're dead to me." And and he also says, "As long as the game isn't super slowed down with a possibility of 6 total challenges." Well, if they get the first 2 wrong, they're not getting that third. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to try to encourage teams to look at it more. So it's going to slow down a little bit, I suspect, and that's going to be a hindrance as well. But um, I'm of the mindset that we need to get that. I'd rather get it right. As long as you actually like get it right.
Right.
That's the other part of it. So, all right. So I guess that's it for football. I don't,
Yep.
we don't
The
need to.
NFL draft is right around the corner, so there's going to
Yeah,
be,
about a
the
month away.
NFL never sleeps. So,
Mhm. We might do something a little fun for that when that time comes. Tune back in.
Absolutely.
Between now and then, we'll see what happens. Sam had a great idea. I think we're gonna run with it, but I'm not
All
gonna tell
right.
you what it is now. That's a long-term tease. Yeah, so professional.
You got to come back in like 3 weeks.
That's right. Okay, so let's switch gears back to basketball. The Warriors had a rough week. They lose to the Knicks at home. They get the win against Memphis, and then they lose to Indiana, and then they lose at Minnesota. The one at Minnesota, that one just happened, and Steph ended up getting pulled with like 4 minutes left in the third quarter and didn't get put back in till there were 6 minutes left in the fourth, and they only lose that game by 4. And I think that and people are starting to get on Steve Kerr about the rotation for Steph Curry and why is he only playing 30 minutes in a close game when you need it. And now the Rockets are only 1 game back. They've kept their winning ways.
Yeah, 8 in
They've
a
won
row.
9 of their last 10 when I looked at the last 10, and that includes 8 in a row now. I mean, the Rockets they've officially figured it out. They're they're for real now. They're at 500. They're making noise. They are on our ass. They're only 1 game back. It is time to wake the hell up and start winning games. You got this week. You're at Miami. You're at Orlando. You're at Charlotte, and then you're at the San Antonio Spurs. You need to get 3 out of 4 of these on this like coming up. There's you need 3 out of the next 4. Um, Otherwise, you're going to be in danger of falling out of the playoffs, playing tournament.
Yeah,
It's bad. It's real bad.
they over the course of the season they lost so many games that they should have won, going into the fourth quarter with leads and then seeing those leads evaporate. Um, Honestly, I just think we've talked about this so much. I just don't think they're a very good team.
Yeah.
I think they got good players. I think they've had players step up at certain times. They started winning when the young players started to really have a active role in the system. But something is not gelling right. And I think I think we'll always, as fans, be thankful that Andrew Wiggins helped us get that last chip. But for whatever reason, it just seems like it's not working. It seems like he's old, Andrew Wiggins. It just seems like there's too many pieces on this roster right now, that don't fit. And there's not really anybody other than Steph Curry that's like becoming a true scorer. Um, Kaminga's been extremely streaky the past month or so. We saw him like really dominate and be really amazing. And there was a couple of games there where defensively he really stepped up, but he's kind of fallen back to that mean again. He hasn't really, been a highlight reel as we saw earlier in the season. Um, I also think they're just getting old. Steph Curry's on the wrong side of 30. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green at the 5. you can't have him at the 5 for extended minutes and extended games. Kevon Looney's just, aging, and he just does not look like the same center as he has in the past. He's not even getting any minutes. I think the positive is you found some really good young guys. I think going forward, there are some role players and possibly some starters. Pods is, he's getting better. I know he's kind of taken a beating for the past couple of games, some things that he made mistakes on, but he's a rookie right now. There's not too many rookies that come out and are capable of playing with Steph and Draymond and Clay and even Chris Paul and take up those minutes and be a leader. But he has. We could see the hustle. He's rebounding. I'm still confused why Moses Moody is always in the doghouse, it seems like, and why isn't he getting more consistent run? So when Andrew Wiggins left, it seemed like some guys were getting some run and an identity was happening. Andrew Wiggins comes back, disrupts the team again, and now everybody doesn't have an identity all over again. So I don't know. It just seems like this team is not together, is what it looks like to me.
Tyler in the chat again saying, let's keep Curry fresh for Cancun. And the best plus minus lineup is 6-man Clay and TJD.
Yeah, I would love to have Clay back, but I don't know if you're the Warriors, I don't know if you can bring Clay back at 20 million plus as the 6th man. And then what do you do with Chris Paul? And you bring these guys back.
Yeah.
Then how do you add? How do you add other players to the starting lineup?
Yeah.
When
you're still over the luxury tax.
You're still over the luxury tax. So I'm not putting blame on Kerr. I'm not putting blame on the front office. What can you do? What trade is out there that can be made that puts this team back to being a championship contender? What player is available and who are you giving up?
I'll say that Chris Paul's contract expires at the end of this year. So that's, if they end up not bringing him back.
I believe he has to opt out, right? I believe he has to opt in, opt out.
I thought he was done. That's why they made the trade, was because this was the last year of the contract.
I don't know. We'll have to double check. I thought it was an opt in, opt out.
Yeah. But anyway, so obviously Clay's contract is up as well.
I mean,
it's just,
you hope if it is an opt in or opt out, you hope Chris Paul leaves because you can't pay him. I doubt Clay is going to take a bench amount, when Draymond and Curry are still getting 25 plus. So what can you do? What is out there to be done?
Oh, no, you're right. There is an opt in.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's not guaranteed.
If Chris Paul opts in, you're probably looking to trade him, and somebody might take it because it's an expiring, because that is his last year on the deal. So somebody might take it.
It's 30 million.
So, but who are you getting back? Who's going to give up? And with the NBA, you got to have it roughly match. There's a percentage that needs to match.
Yeah. You don't actually want to give up that. I think at this point, you want to hang on to that expiring.
Yeah, because it's expiring.
Yeah, so that's 30 million off the books next year. After next year,
I still think I would think it would be better that he opt out, because then you're off the hook sooner,
right,
than later. But I don't know what options the Warriors really have to build around Curry and add players, because you're in the luxury tax and so many players have gotten paid.
Well,
and then you got Kuminga, right? You got Kuminga that's going to be up for a contract pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it looks like it's a non-guaranteed contract is what it is. It becomes fully guaranteed for next season on June 28th. So you have 3 months basically to decide if you're going to keep Chris Paul or if you're going to cut him. and it looks like, and I think you can cut him relatively cheaply because it's not guaranteed at all. Yeah. Anyway, unimportant
Yeah.
right now.
I don't really know what they
It's the
can do.
team. Yeah.
I don't
They're
really know
paying
what they can do.
a lot smarter guys to figure this out, you know?
Right.
Uh, so anyway, upcoming games, you got, like I said, Tuesday at Miami, Wednesday at Orlando. So you got the Florida back to back, and then Friday at Charlotte, Sunday at San Antonio Spurs. Those last three games have to be automatic W's. And I kind of need you to win Miami as well. Like 4-0 would be great. They can cut him and it won't go against the luxury tax, is what Tyler's saying.
Yeah.
So, anyway, let's just check in real quick with the NCAA men's tournament standings. We are in a group together, and Sam is in first place right now with 46 points. Congratulations. It is going to be very short lived, though, because your national champion got eliminated. You had Baylor winning it all, and they got smoked. So, right now, me and Tyler are tied with 43 points. Tyler has 4, like he can max out at 171. I can max out at 167. So like our big teams are all still in it. All 4 of my final 4 teams and 7 out of my 8 Elite 8 teams. So that's really the name of the game when you're playing brackets is how long are your teams gonna stick around? Like your Elite 8 teams, your final 4 teams. That's really what you gotta hit on those in order to really win a group bracket like that. So we'll see what happens after this coming weekend when we get down to the final 4 going into the championship weekend in a couple weeks. So yeah, and that takes us to the end of basketball. We have a bunch of soccer notes actually. So we'll start off with Wrexham. Normally Tyler does this, but since our boy is in the chat instead of on video, I'm gonna handle it. They get the W against Grimsby Town 3-1. They are currently 3rd in the English Football League 2, and that's 70 points. They have 20 wins, 10 draws, and 9 losses. Upcoming Friday against Mansfield Town. Mansfield Town is in first place. They have a 3-point lead on Wrexham. If Wrexham gets that win, they move into a tie with Mansfield Town, and somebody else is in the middle there. I lost it, but yeah, they're so as long as they stay 3rd or higher, they're moving on automatically to EFL 1, and that's kind of where they need to be. And like I said before, that's kind of where we see them kind of middling out a little bit until they upgrade more, get the stands fixed, and get the team get more higher quality players. So I think they'll probably when they go up after this year, they'll go back to back going up, and then after that, that's where they'll kind of like level out for a few years before they maybe get some more players and ramp up and get ready to move on. There are actually rules in place for like how much you spend versus how much you take in. You can only be about 105%, I think is the max or something like that. You can't go too far into the red, I guess, basically. There are teams in the Premiership that have been deducted points because they spent too much a couple of years ago. Nottingham Forest got a 4-point subtraction from their standings, and Everton lost 10 initially. That got reduced to 6. So like these are teams that are like kind of on the bubble, maybe getting sent down from the Premier League. So they're very serious about making sure that you're not spending to excess. You got to spend within your means.
Right.
Actually, Manchester City's under investigation for kind of breaking these rules too. I wonder how much. Like we're still kind of waiting to see what happens there, if they're going to get punished. They're kind of a big dog, so I don't know how much they would get punished if they are. Maybe they get punished at the end of this year and they end up losing this year's title, but they don't get sent down or nothing because what's the point? They just get right back up to promotion. It's they're not going to deduct them too much, but that's just something to keep in mind. They're very serious about making sure these teams stay profitable.
Yeah.
Which is great. A team that's not really profitable right now is the Earthquakes, but they do get a win against the Sounders. I did not see it happening, but they get the job done. They get the 3-2 win, and that was at home. It was against the Seattle Sounders. That's the first win of the season. They are now 12th out of 14 teams in the West. So this coming Saturday, they are at Houston Dynamo, which was the San Jose Earthquakes until 2005 when they relocated to Houston. Pisses me off to this day because Houston got another couple of championships out of it. Those should be San Jose titles. But when the Earthquakes came back, John Fisher was the owner of the new Quakes, and it's just been bad times outside of a couple seasons here and there. But yeah, so God damn you, Houston.
Yeah.
God damn you. All right. Bay FC, the women's soccer team, they end up losing in a last minute goal surrendered to Washington Spirit. They opened up scoring with Dorian Bailey, a beautiful cross from Oshawa. She was coming down the right side. She serves it back to the middle, and then Dorian Bailey just picks up the loose change and rifles it in. They surrendered an equalizer in the 22nd minute, and then that game-winning goal was off a fast break. Not 5 minutes into stoppage time at the end of the game, heartbreak. And I was looking at it. I've talked to a couple of people about NWSL, and it sounds like they call it Chaos League because stuff like this happens all the time. There's a lot of it's a high-scoring league actually, so it's pretty exciting if you like offense. Oshawa is going to score a lot of goals for Bay FC. She scored last week. She gets the assist this week. Really exciting player. She could win the Golden Boot this year for. So let's goals scored. Upcoming game is they're playing the Houston Dash at home in San Jose for their home opener. It's a game that if I wasn't already going down to Disney for my birthday, I'd be at. But yeah, I'm really excited to see to go to one of these Bay FC games sometime in the very near future. All right. Oh yeah, we have one last thing. The U.S. men's national team, they win the the Nations Cup final over Mexico, 2-0. And that's kind of a rallying cry for games against Mexico for the U.S. men's team. The game was suspended actually twice due to the Mexico fans chanting the homophobic slur that has often gotten the team in trouble in the last few years. There's been matches ended and paused because of it, and Daniel talked about this a few months ago as well. You can look back when he was a guest host, and it's one of the ugliest parts of the game right now. These fans, for whatever reason, like a subset of the Mexico fans, can't help themselves, and they know it hurts their team at this point. It's been hurting their team for 6 years. It's not acceptable, but it keeps happening, and so something has to be done. You know, they ejected those fans. It was stopped for 4 minutes to eject some fans, and then they stopped it again for like another minute and a half. So what was supposed to be like 6 minutes stoppage time ended up being close to 10. But yeah, so yeah, that's basically all I really want to say on that. It's gross. Speaking of gross, the San Jose Sharks, they lose 8-2 at Nashville, who Tyler thought was going to be the win of the week. They lose at home against Tampa Bay 4-1. We both knew that was going to be a loss. And then they lose 5-4 in overtime versus Chicago. The Sharks were up 4-0 in that one, and then they surrender 5 straight unanswered goals, including the overtime winner for Chicago. That one's rough. They're dead last in everything. Upcoming this week, Tuesday versus Dallas, Thursday at Minnesota, Saturday at St. Louis. I'm going to pick St. Louis as my win of the week. I do not expect them to actually win that game. Yeah, so that's it's ending rough, and they're not really playing all that better. Thomas Bordeleau had a couple of goals in the Chicago game, which is great, but the team as a whole, I don't see improvement. They're just losing. They were losing ugly to start the year. They've lost ugly through the middle of the year. They're losing ugly now. It's near the end of the season. There's only like 3 weeks left. So yeah, this is rough. You got a win of the
Uh,
week?
I'll take the home game against Dallas.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not? If it happens, great. Um yeah, the new those black jerseys are sick though. They really are. Tyler says in the chat that he'll also take the Dallas game, so I will add that as well. And there we go. Okay, so there's our locked in win of the week. And that brings us to the end of our planned show. Is there anything else you want to add for the good of the order? The good of the order?
I'm good,
Let me know,
man.
leather. Okay.
Exactly a 1 hour show.
Yeah, look at that. Crushing it. You want to go ahead and send us out?
Sure. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Let me get my script going here.
That's right. Out of bed.
All right, everybody. You're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the bell to get alerts so you know when we go live. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with you.
And also download the podcast version too. You know, that'll help us out as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side.